Welcome back to In the Know. Tonight's topic is about separation and divorce. Don't forget our phone lines are open for your questions or comments. Now, Andrew, I was just reading up on some recent statistics, and in the U.S., they say that 70% of all divorce cases involve Facebook, Twitter, and email, social media. I mean, this segment really piques my interest because it's so prevalent now, the fact that anybody can have access to their Facebook accounts and really write anything they want, and it's public. Do you think those numbers are similar to in Canada as well?
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. Because when I started as a lawyer, before you had all of these electronic devices, people would say to me, my spouse said this, my spouse said that, and I would say, well, what evidence do you have? They'd say nothing. Now, I get to sit there at my computer and go on, read what they're saying on Twitter, go on the company website, the company blog. Just picture, you have someone who owns a company and he says, I'm doing terrible, we've lost all our business, and then I go on his website and I see on his website he's doing brilliant, he's having a great year. Or he says he's not working and I go on his LinkedIn account and he lists that he's working somewhere, but not telling me something. So I absolutely love all that stuff because it's a written record. And the amazing thing in one case is this husband made all of these horrendous comments and emails and text messages to his wife, and the judge used that to say this is an abusive relationship and gave the wife exclusive possession of the home, meaning the husband had to leave the home because of the emails.
And the emails in writing there for everybody to see, right?
Absolutely. It's hard to argue about what you put in writing.
Now, branching off the topic of Facebook and social media, the recent front page cover of Maclean's here talks about online dating and talks about how that is fast becoming the #1 reason why people are getting married, because they're finding their partner, I guess, quicker through online dating, but it's also a double-edged sword because that's, a bad news about marriage as well because of the points we were talking about.
I've seen people lose partners because they come in and they say they met an old boyfriend on Facebook. I've even seen people say they've fallen in love with somebody who lives across the world in another country that they've never met. So you can get all sorts of weird situations from social media and the internet.
What sort of weird situations have you come across?
Well, an example is you have a middle-aged lady who wants to run off to Europe to be with a 20-year-old man and leave her spouse and kids here in Canada. Those are the types of things that you can see. To me, that's unusual.
In your experience and the clients who are approaching you, social media, is that some of the topics that come up in the first consultation or initial meeting with the client?
We will always tell our clients that when you think about what you're putting either online or an email, assume a judge is going to read it. And when you assume a judge is going to read it, make sure you're not sounding horrible. That send button in an email, as an example, or posting something on the web can be the absolute worst mistake you can make.
Wow.
Because if you're saying something horrendous, it's going to come back to haunt you. There's a case, I think it's out of Alberta, where one dad put all sorts of terrible comments about the mother on Facebook. The problem was their children were Facebook friends. So here is the father saying these vile comments about the mother for the children to read. You can imagine he didn't do very well in court.
So how should couples, individuals treat social media if they're going through a divorce?
What you say in court should be the same as what appears in your electronic world, in social media, on your website, on your LinkedIn account. They have to be the same. You need to be consistent. Don't lie about it. Don't say to your husband, I'm looking for work, when you're spending 3 months in Europe in the summer and you post all your Facebook pictures of how great of a time you're having.
Wow. Does that actually happen?
Yes.
That's crazy. I mean, it never goes away. That's the thing about the internet and the social media. You think it's sort of out in internet space, but there's ways to retrieve it. There's ways to retrieve that information, right?
Absolutely. And that's why you need to be consistent and assume somebody is reading what you're saying. And every time you post something, assume somebody's reading it.
Even with Twitter as well, because those statuses are very short and sort of your profile on Twitter is not as extensive as Facebook. Is it still as bad?
Well, if you say something, for example, if I say I made an amazing sale today, I made $1 million in sales today, that's out there. If I'm the lawyer on that and I happen to come across that, I'm going to be thrilled. And I tell all my clients when they're trying to get something from the other side, to constantly monitor the other side's online
Really?
profile. And if they find something, print it and scan it and send it to me, because that will be helpful.
So what can you say about the privacy issues around Facebook and Twitter? Can you be protected in any sort of way? I mean, it's your personal profile. You're only friends with certain specific people.
Well, Facebook is a great example on that front, because now we have a situation where most people will have hundreds of friends.
Yes.
So it may be private, but if one of your friends forwards it, if I'm your spouse, one of your friends forwards it to me, I can then use that information as evidence because I got it through legitimate purposes, i.e. one of the friends who was exposed to it got to see it. But if I only had 5 Facebook friends and somebody hacked into the account, that's a different story. That probably would not be admissible.
Mm-hmm. So is it harder for you as a lawyer to work with clients who have gone over the top when it comes to social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatnot, if they've sort of abused that system? Is it harder for you to, I guess, win the case in that sort of respect?
It can be if the client has done something that you can't clean up. Sometimes you'll find out the client did something and you tell them to change it right away. We've had situations where the client will have a very negative name as a nickname for their spouse in an email. So
Okay.
instead of putting in their spouse's name, they'll call her some sort of foul name. And so right at the email heading is to blank blank, and that name will be so foul, it already sets the table before you even open your mouth of what this person thinks of their spouse.
So in the initial consultation with clients, do they have to provide their Facebook, password and profile right away?
Well, I wouldn't want that information. I don't want somebody's private password. But we send them a do's and don'ts after
I
they
see.
hire us of what they shouldn't do, and that's part of that. We tell them, don't do these things.
I see. I mean, it's just so, mind-boggling to me that a simple status update can just really affect you down the road. So, interesting points. When we come back, more on separation and divorce. Stay tuned.